Those of you who don't know me or don't remember, my name is Bill Fisher. Drive out of Station 8 right now, acting captain. We're going to go through a maps class, basically go through some of the geography of Larimer County and Fort Collins, and we'll also get in the run books and learn how to navigate through a run book, what information is in the run book, and how to find where you're going with it. With that, before we get started, we are being recorded today, so in case you want to make some fun comments, just letting you know. And if I can work that. All right, so our objectives for the day, we're going to understand the addressing system, how the addresses are laid out in Fort Collins and the surrounding areas. These will also apply to Wellington because Fort Collins address carries through up to Wellington. So the same rules that apply in Fort Collins will apply to you up there. Understanding our map coordinates. When you hear the group number, the page number, how to reference those, how they're laid out, we'll go through those. We'll go through the map books. We'll do a little bit of work in the hundreds block book so you can see kind of the differences between the two when you would or would not use one or the other. We'll go through some other maps that are available either in your engines or in the map books or software. We aren't going to spend a lot of time in, say, Google or anything like that, but that is available to you. And then we'll go through some scenarios. You're going to get in the map books, you're going to be flipping pages, trying to figure out how to get from a station to a call. Just practice using them, because it's a challenge. Just to kind of start off with, just to show you a little bit how Fort Collins has grown. This was Fort Collins about 1950, 55 or so. This road here is Prospect. So you can see there's nothing much below Prospect. CSU campus, only about half of it's built. The bridge up here over Mulberry isn't even built yet. The only way to get into town at that time was to come up on Lincoln and drive down on the mountain. And Prospect and Lincoln and the mountain were kind of how you got into Fort Collins. So it's changed a little bit in the last few years. It's grown a lot. And with that comes some of the challenges of that map book and finding your way around. It used to be simple back then. All the roads were north, south, east, west. You can memorize them all and off you go. I've had roundabouts in the area forever, whether you like them or not. This is actually I-25 and Highway 14. Had a roundabout in it. That's how you navigated through. Building addresses. So if you've been from PFA, you've had this before. We do it when you get hired. We do it for DO process. You get it again. College and Mountain is ground zero for addressing in Fort Collins. So if you stand in the center of College and Mountain, you look north, south, east, and west, you are staring at the 100 block of each of those streets. The further away you move, the bigger the numbers get. Okay? So as you go north, 2 blocks north, you're in the 200 block, 300 north, and same south, 100, 200, east, west is the same. With addressing, and how I remember it, east and north are even numbers. So anytime you hear an even numbered address, you know it's going to be on the north side of the road or the east side of the road. Again, E and N is an even, so it's kind of a way to remember that. South and west are odd. Loveland, if you do mutual aid, just know that they are different. South and east and even, and north and west is odd. 10 blocks equal 1 mile, usually. And I'll cover that in a second where there's an anomaly. But 10 blocks equal 1 mile. Each block is approximately 500 square feet. 500 feet. So by that, if you're in the 2300 block, say of South College, you know that you will be 2.3 miles away from College and Mountain. And that goes the same in any direction that you go. 500 feet per block. Does anybody know or remember why that number may be significant to you as a captain or even a DO? Hose. The hose that we carry as far as 5 inches based off of that 500 feet per block. It is enough. We carry 800 feet. It's enough to get you that 500 feet plus round the corner or give you a little extra if you have to. So as you're looking at hydrants and determining hose number, 500 feet between hydrants, between blocks, 800 feet of hose, kind of give you a point of reference on how much you need. There's College and Mountain. One of the things you'll note, Mountain is on a half-mile line. So all of these county roads that you see here, the city roads used to be county roads, all of them are on a mile section, north, south, east, and west. Mountain is on the half-mile section. Okay? So that means when you get down to Mulberry, you're actually in the 500 block, not the 1,000 block. Up to Vine, same thing. You're in the 500 block, not the 1,000 block. As you go north or south, then instead of being nice and even, you're now in the 15, 25, 35, 45. Okay? Whereas east and west, since it's nice on the mile line, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Same this way. So there is a little discrepancy there. Let me go back one more. Between Mulberry and Prospect, there is an extra block. I don't know why. I haven't heard the history as to why that is. So as you go south, now Prospect is the 1,600 block. Horsetooth, 26. Drake, 26. Horsetooth, 36. Harmony, 46. So it does get a little confusing as you go south, just because it's got that extra block between Mulberry and Prospect. Map numbers, map coordinates. They start at the Wyoming state line, and they are 1 square mile coordinates. They're designated by a letter and a number. When they started this, they kind of figured Fort Collins would be the center of the Front Range. Granted, K and L isn't really the center of the alphabet. It was close enough as far as going west. There wasn't too much space west in our area, and going east there was quite a bit more. So they kind of split it over K and L. So K, when you go west, the alphabet starts getting towards the beginning, and if you go east with L, it goes up, M-L-M-N-O-P. One of the easy ways I remember the split is college, K for college. L is on the LeMay side, L for LeMay. So as you know, the college side will be on the west side, LeMay side then will be between college and LeMay. Numbers, they split over Mulberry at 29 and 30, but they start at the Wyoming state line at number 1 and go down every mile the further south you go. So basically that tells you that Mulberry is 29, 30 miles from the state line. Wellington, you guys on your group numbers, you probably get a lot of the tens, the teens, even some of the single digits for the start of your group numbers. But you also get a lot of these middle, because you are still pretty much in line with how Fort Collins was. Each square mile map page has a quarter section. So if we look at a square mile, any square mile section, whether it's 29 Lincoln or 35 Q, they're all a square mile, and they are all broken into quadrants, quarter sections. They start in the upper right corner with 1 and go around counterclockwise, 1, 2, 3, 4. An easy way for me to remember it is it makes a C for coordinate. So 29 Lincoln 1, you know you're going to be looking in that northeast corner of that map. Group number. It's easy for me to say. When we get into the map book, and when we start looking at those pages, they are broken down now. You'll get at each page for each quarter section. Okay? So when you hear 29 Lincoln 1, you will have an actual page that says 29 Lincoln 1 on it. And that is just this section here by itself. Okay? As you're in, and the reason they did that is because there is so much information on that page, and as we get in the run books, you will see that. Every single address is in it, hydrants, standpipes, that's all listed in there. If you tried to put a whole mile section on one page, you'd never be able to read it. It would be so tiny. So you get the quarter sections. Rural areas, keep the whole mile coordinate on it. Okay? So if you go into a rural area, 7's area, a little bit of 8's area that's left, you will get a map page that is the full page. It'll just say 35Q in the corner. You may still be given the group number in your dispatching as 35Q3. You go look for Q3, you're not going to find Q3. Just know that you can still look in this lower corner on that map page to begin your search to look for that address. Just because you don't have that page directly doesn't mean that 3 isn't of any use to you or that it's a mistake.
Bill?
Yeah.
And it's just going to be labeled 35Q, right? There's not going to be anything else. So you would normally see that with the other map pages, though, right? You would start out with 1, 2.
Yep, you'll see 35Q1.
Yeah.
And we'll get to those pages and we'll go through those and I'll show you what those exactly will. Yeah. Here's our district page again. Group numbers split over college, K and L, right down the center. Numbers start smaller at the top and get bigger as we go further south. These numbers, these group numbers, carry through for PFA and probably Wellington into Weld County even. So we do have areas, where is it? County Line Road is right here. This whole section is in our district. It's in Weld County. Even this area down here, this part of Windsor District, still, for us, still follows our group numbers. So as we get over here, I ran a call, where was it? 35 Sam. We actually were given that map page as a place to go, even though it wasn't in our district, and we were able to find it through the map book and get there. All right, so your map pages you were asking about. In the upper corner is your coordinate number, 29 King 3. And that's how they'll be listed on all the quarter section pages. The number, the letter, and then the quarter coordinate, quarter section, are up there. Down in this lower box, and I don't know if you guys can see this over here, is a locator box. Your map page that you are looking at is in the center of that box. So I know it's kind of fuzzy and hard to see from back there, but this says 29 King 3 right in the middle of it. It gives you every map page that touches, or every coordinate that touches this coordinate around it. Okay? So if you're trying to find your way into a call and you're coming from the east here, going into 2's area, you can start, okay, I know my address is here on Mountain. I can't remember how to get to Mountain from Station 1, whatever. You can start from here, 29 King 3, and go, okay, I need to go east 29 King 4, flip over to that map page. Look at it, where it ties in. It'll give you the next coordinate, over, and so on until you can find your way back from where you started. Make sense? Gives you the corner coordinates. It's just a reference on how to move through the book. This locator box also gives you a date. This is the date that this page was last updated. So this current example of this slide was January of 2010. This is an urban page in 2's area. Chances are it has not really been updated since that time because there hasn't been a lot of growth and development in that area. A few other things you get on your map page. It's hard to see when you get in the map book, but there's a pink line that's in the center of the page where this red line is here. That is the actual coordinate. That is actually 29 King 3 in this box. Everything outside of this box is the surrounding coordinates. Okay? And that was done on purpose to give you a little extra information that's surrounding it. So if you were looking here, oh geez, those are hard to read. And you're going to 631 Mountain. I think that's a 631. And you're second in and you get labeled water supply. You're bringing in a hydrant. You're sitting in the map book looking at this. If we did not have this extra information around it, you're told to bring in a hydrant. Or you're going, okay, well I got a hydrant here and here. when you're really missing the one that's right across the street because it's on the next map page. So that is one of the reasons why we give you a little extra around each page, is so you can find hydrants that are just right across the street and you're not dumping your whole hose bed just to go, oh, there's one. Whoops. It happens. It's happened before. It'll happen again. It's no big deal. Hydrants are the black dots. If I haven't mentioned that, railroad trolley line, looks like a standard map. Where is another one? It's kind of hard to see, but this red triangle down here, your standpipe connections. All of those are labeled in your map book, where you will find your FDC. It will give you a building footprint in our map book and show you what part of the building that's at. If it's in a parking lot on a post, you'll see it in the middle of a parking lot. There'll be a triangle right there. What else do we need for that page? That's it. I mean, the obvious, street names and addresses. So again, here's our rural pages. This one is 38 Ocean. You can see it's a rural page. There's not a lot of information on it. So you get the full mile section. But it is still broken down. Now these numbers won't be on that page, but it is still broken down in that manner. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you get sent to 3405 Larimer County Road 30, and you're given 38 Ocean 2, when you open this page, I mean, not many addresses to choose from, but you know you can start your search over here in this coordinate for that address. Okay? Maps with stars on them. These are in Station 1's area, is the big one that has it. Some of the, I believe, bigger apartment complexes and trailer manufactured home parks are having these now. But maps with stars. So 29 Lincoln 3 is Old Town. Part of the problem with Old Town is all these little building numbers you cannot see anymore. So what they did is they zoomed it in and put a star by it, put this all over the top, said, now go to 29 Lincoln 3 star 2, which should be one of the next pages in your map book. This is actually star 1, but now it zooms in, whap, and shows you better where those connections are and where those building numbers are. So it's an easier point of reference to see them. We've got other map pages that are in the beginning of the map book. They are also on the iPad in kind of the first few frames of that. Depending on your... I should have erased that. Pretty much all the map books now have the exact same pages in them. It used to be dependent on what area you were in. If you were around 12's area, you may have had the 12 area map page in it. If you were in 5's area, you wouldn't have 12's area. But now everything should all be in every map book. Auto aid areas, anything that is green is where we will be auto aid and the various departments that we have it with. And those agreements change based on contracts. So depending on when the contract was and when this was updated, it may not be the most accurate, but it is in there. If you ever have a question, is this their area, our area? Why did Windsor come to this? This is kind of shows where they're supposed to. Bonner Peak area. Bonner Peak is not in PFA land, but it is put in a map book because we auto aid and mutual aid into it. One of the things you'll notice is that it encompasses about 9 group numbers. They did that because if they just did 17 David, you're just going to have a little tiny squiggly line with a house on it, and then you're going to have to really do a lot of work to find your way up to it. This way, it gives you your point of reference from the main road, 287, and the different ways that are into that area. Horsetooth Mountain Park is in it, and Laurie State Park are both in it. Some of the different information you can get from that, Towers Road is on there 4x4 only. If you see a dotted line road, that means it's either a 4x4 road or it's a privately owned or maintained road. Can't guarantee that it's a well-maintained road, but it's a private maintained road and there's at least something there to access. You also get designated helicopter landing LZs on it. Okay? And they are labeled throughout the park, 1, 2, 3, and then they have their respective GPS coordinates that go with it. So if you do get a rescue in either Laurie or Horsetooth, you can figure out where you are, closest LZ to it, and just hike them to that LZ and have the helicopter land there. Yeah.
Do they have the same map page in the helicopter, and they have them all programmed?
They do. Last I knew, they did not have these programmed in. You just have to call and give them the GPS coordinates. They program it in, and they'll be right there for you.
Okay.
Okay. That's it. Laurie State Park, same thing. You can see the helicopter down here and the different landing zones marked with an H and a number by them. Open burning restrictions map. Anywhere in the gray, not allowed to open burn. Anywhere in the white, based on the rules that the Bureau has at that time. Redstone Canyon also gets its own page. So if you're in 4's area or 5 or you're heading up to Redstone Canyon, it has its own map page in it. Again, you'll notice that it encompasses multiple group numbers. That way you're not trying to find an address on one squiggly line in the middle of the page. This can help you navigate your way in, through, and to it. Whale Rock area. Okay. Stationary maps in the front of the run books, and these are older run books, so some of them may be hit and miss as to which station areas they have in them. We'll give you a station area, just like what you have on your wall. So if you get in the run book, you can, if you're in 12's area, you can flip to that page real quick and look at that and say, okay, take this county road, take Highway 1 to Douglas Road or wherever you need to go and make a right. I'll find the page and we'll get you in closer from there. Okay? It's a good reference to get out the door and start moving in that direction. And so there you go. So if you're 12 and you're going up here off Highway 1 or coming down here, you can better give directions. You need to go this way, don't go this way because the road dead ends. 7's areas in there. Most of the areas, especially these bigger rural areas, are in there. Hunter's block book. These are carried on all apparatus, engines, secondary apparatus, chief cars, tenders, brush rigs. They are a quick way to locate an address without the house number in the book. Okay? Each page is 1 square mile, so there are no pages with sub-coordinates on it. No sub-coordinate pages. So you will not have 29 Lincoln 3, you will just have 29 Lincoln. The reason that is because all it will give you, and most of you should have looked through these by now, just give you the page, and it'll just have all the streets and hydrants on it. That's all. It's meant to be a quick reference, especially for tenders and brush rigs, to get you moving in that direction and know the approximate location where you're at. Now with that, you can use some of the stuff that we learned early on in the class. It was an even address. I know it's going to be on the north side of the road. Distance away from the center of town. They said it was in the 4,000 block of East Vine. I know I'm going 4 miles east of College if you're coming from Station 12 or wherever in a tender. So that gives you a point of reference about how far you expect to be driving before you run into that address. The other thing it provides in the back is a street index. So in the back of all of them is every street in PFA land. It's broken down by whether it's a place, a drive, a circle, a lane, and then it's broken down by the block range that it's in per map page. So if you're told to go to the 2500 block of Powell Place, it tells you to go to 33 Ida 1. Where if you were going to the 2600 block, you're going to 33 Ida 2. Just to help you get dialed in closer. You can also use these when somebody comes to the station and says, I can't find this address. Doesn't occur as much as it used to, but even with Google and Apple, I know out of date with all the roads that they're cutting in, we get people still coming by the station all the time going, we can't find this address. It doesn't live anywhere on our software. You can still get in that book, look it up, see if we have it and show it to them. There it is. You do not get building footprints. Bolts Junior Highs, just boom, that's where it's at. You can see where the hydrants would be located around it. Different parks are located, and it's all just the 1 mile section. Street index. All right. Other maps and apparatus. Some maps will have topo maps, especially if you're heading west into the foothills. 4, 7, the brush rigs will have topo maps on them. The open burning map, area response maps we showed, auto aid map. Wellington, Windsor, Loveland maps are in some of the engines, but not all engines. I know that 14 and 8 carry a Windsor map book in them. So if you are acting in one of those stations, 14 or 8, know that per auto aid agreement with them, if they have a structure fire basically anywhere on the east or northeast end of their district, we automatically get dispatched to it. And so we have a run book in there from Windsor so that we can figure out where they're at and how to get there. Theirs is a little different. They have tiles is what they call theirs, their coordinates, and they start in the upper corner and just go across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you're using this, you will have to look up the street address in their index, find it, it'll tell you what page to turn to, and then you turn to the page and work your way to it. They are not given a group number like we are that tells them what page to go to. I think they're working on changing that, but currently, if you go there, you will not get a map page. You will just basically get sent to an address, and that's kind of how you use it, how you get there. CSU maps. Engine 1, 2, 3, I think even 4 had one. A nice map. It was 8.5 by 12 or whatever. I used the heck out of it. Loved it. One page, it showed all the addresses, all the footprints of all the buildings on CSU. You flipped it over, had everything by name. So if you were just told to go to Allison Hall, you flip it over, see Allison Hall, and that's how you knew how to get there. When I was on one acting, I used it all the time. It is a great map. We also have Google and Apple Maps on your phone. With that being said, you can use them if you would like, but there is information that we have on our run book that is not on there. It will not give you hydrants. It will not give you FDCs. May not give you the right address. I was telling these guys, right before Christmas, my parents had a party at their house, had food catered in, gave the caterer directions. This is how you get there. Yeah, I got it. Googled it. Ended up by Wellington. Called us up, said, I'm out front of your house, and we're looking. No, you're not. Where are you at? Well, I don't know. I followed the Google. It's like, no, don't. Go back to where you started. Follow directions. No, I got plugged it in their phone again. Took them somewhere else. Got lost again. No follow directions. So anyway, we get standing around, 4 of us with our phone, all entered the same address in it. One put it by Wellington. One put it the actual spot. Another one put it down by Platteville. And another one put it out in Morgan County. Can't answer as to why that did that, but just know that there are limitations to even using the mapping software from Google or Apple. Okay. Oh, there it is. Ta-da! CSU in the run book. There's the separate CSU map. This was the one by name. So, like I said, if you get sent to Allison Hall, it's just listed Allison Hall. And sometimes that is how it's sent to you. All right, so we went through all of that stuff, addressing, map coordinates, books, pages, and some of the other maps. Before we get into the scenarios, one of the things I gave you is that piece of paper. On that piece of paper, that came from Jim Montag, our GIS guy. It basically explains where our maps come from, how they are built, when they're updated, how often they're updated, why they're updated. Kind of to show, just basically so if there's any questions on, well, how do they know? Do they go out and drive the streets? Basically, as soon as they get that information from the developers or from the county or city as things get approved, that information gets sent to us, and it gets plugged into our map database immediately. So we have information for subdivisions that aren't even plotted to be built yet for another 3 or 4 years. All it takes is once they start cutting roads, Jim just goes in, activates that section of the map, and now he can print off new map pages or push out updates to the iPad or to the computer that have these in there. With that, sometimes we don't always know when things are being built and started. So all that takes is a quick email to them, says, hey, the subdivision just they're cutting ground. Maybe time to start looking at adding that into the map book, okay? I like these map books. They're my first go-to in the engine every time. They are more accurate than anything you get. Yes, they can be kind of cumbersome and clumsy to navigate through, but as far as getting you to the right house with the right information, they are lights out right, okay? You will find anomalies or problems where there is some incorrect information. Easiest thing to do, instead of whining and complain about it, send an email to Jim or Dave Lehman and say, we found this address incorrect on this map page. They will get in and fix it so that the new updates will have that correct address. Then while you're sitting on scene, take a few seconds, pen, pencil, write it in correctly so that the next person that gets sent there will have the right information, okay? Any other questions about any of these map books or the mapping software? We didn't touch too much of that. Ross will go through that. I think he still teaches the MDT class. When he goes through that, he will take you through that mapping program through the MDT. The iPads. iPads work the same as our run book. It is the exact same documents and information that is in our run book. It is just in a digital format. You open up the main page that shows you the PFA district with all the group numbers. You just tap on that group number and it takes you to that page. Okay? Let's go back a ways here. We'll go back to that map. So you just tap that group and it will take you to that group page. Okay? This does not work. Don't try and tap this and expect to go to the next page. In order to do that, they have to write code for every single one of these boxes on every single page to direct them to it. The hours and the labor that we're going to be involved, they just can't keep up with it with all the new updates and everything else. So what you have to do is back out, hit the little back button in the corner. If you need to go to the next coordinate over, get out, hit the next coordinate over. It'll pop you back into the next coordinate. And that's how you got to go back and forth in that book, okay? Or in that book, in that machine. Nice thing about it, you can't read these addresses. Your eyes are getting old. It's bouncing too much in the rig. Pinch it, zooms right in, and you can see the address numbers a little easier. Again, it is just our map book put in a digital format. Exact same information. Gets updated a little more frequently, I think it says on that sheet, just because they can push it out digitally as opposed to spending a bunch of money and printing off copies. But that is there, and it works. It works pretty good. I know a lot of people that they use that a lot. Just, again, it's a mechanical device or electronic device. Batteries can go dead. It can throw snake eyes at you or do whatever. So there are some limitations to it. Nothing is foolproof. Nothing is perfect. It's just a matter of getting what you're comfortable with and start using it. But this book will always be there. It always works. It always opens up. Always points you to the page. So it's kind of, these aren't going away, basically what I'm saying.